The warehouse is open. Tales to the Warehouse, volume 59, MeiGray Expo number 20, straight ahead. Always an honor and a pleasure to grab a few moments with the president and COO of MeiGray, Mr. Barry Meisel. Barry, welcome back to the warehouse, sir. Hope all is well.
Thanks, Scott. I can't believe this is the 20th Expo. My God, if you would have asked me, I would have said number 12. I know I'm always a little 20 years of Expos. It's amazing.
They're a blur. We're here to talk about them today. It'll be a fun listen. It's always a fun conversation, and thank you in advance for taking time to chat for a time. Expo number 20. It is right away, Saturday, July 12th, Raritan Valley Community College Conference Center. Summer sale to follow. The grab bag draft is open. Check your inboxes. The emails have been out. As I mentioned, the summer sale. We got the bargain packs this year, which I want you to talk about. Hockey Hall of Fame, guests, exhibitors, exhibitions, the whole lot. Again, check out MeiGray.com, of course. NHL deals with the Caps, the Blue Jackets, the Flyers, the Devils, the Preds, and the Minnesota Wild. NBA deals, of course. Lakers, Clips, Charlotte, the Golden State Warriors, consignments, collections, and connections all throughout the professional connecting world. We got that out of the way, but we'll mention it. Don't worry. Also, Barry, I saw something in my inbox, and it is beyond cool. Paige Beckers, WNBA star in the making, collegiate star, auction ongoing at MeiGrayAuctions.com. It is a Lego mosaic and the auctions for charity. Can you tell me a little more?
Sure. As you've seen, and thank you for mentioning that, we've entered the space with WNBA. WNBA is on a rocket ship. We've got a deal going, which we announced last month with the Golden State Valkyries. We're working with several other teams, deals to be announced soon, but one of them is the Dallas Wings, the hottest rookie in the league and one of the best young WNBA players, Paige Beckers. And we're hosting a charity auction. A great artist who does these Lego mosaics has done Paige. Paige signed it on Monday, I believe. The photos are great. The item is great. And we're happy to be a part of the WNBA.
MeiGrayAuctions.com for more information. The auction will run for a little bit more while you're listening to this and for a few days more. And again, it is a charity venture, so do check it out, MeiGrayAuctions.com. All right, you jokingly said, I'd have thought this was Expo number 12. When I say MeiGray Expo number 20, just what does the number mean to you? That's impressive, Bear.
Well, when MeiGray began, and when the Expos began, which I believe we were 3 or 4 years into MeiGray, the first vision was to bring collecting to the world and to organize it, the authentication. We've talked about that many times. But we felt this community was growing in the late 90s, early aughts. And I thought, why don't we all get together and share our passion for the hobby, our knowledge of the hobby, the jerseys, and just get together. So MeiGray Expo number 1 was a 2-day affair in Branchburg, not far from our office. Mm-hmm. And 20 years later, so many collectors and so many good people with great jerseys. The Hall of Fame has been to, if I'm not mistaken, every one, maybe not the first couple, but to have the Hall of Fame honored enough and honoring us by bringing themes of their collection, their mini traveling displays, and for so many people to see so many great artifacts. It's great. It just shows how robust our hobby is and how our hobby is for everyone.
I've never been to Toronto. I've been lucky enough to be a bunch of places. When I get to Toronto, I'm going to the Hockey Hall of Fame. But the fact that the Hockey Hall of Fame has come to me, us, the collecting community for X number of summers, it states a lot about them because they always want to grow the game, and they go around in trucks and bring the cup and bring exhibits and show up in various cities. But the fact that they keep on going back to the MeiGray Expo is pretty damn cool.
Yes, and the fact that every year they bring something new.
Yes.
I mean, if you've been to the back halls of the Hall of Fame, behind what's displayed, they have so much stuff. So they're happy to bring new things that aren't always on display. And they take pride in the hobby and pride in the memorabilia, just as we do. And it's great to see. And I think it's great for the collectors to see the passion of these guys, Isaac Westgate and Phil Pritchard and Craig Campbell and all the guys that come year after year, the guys you see on the ice with the white gloves and the tuxedo and the Hall of Fame tuxedos when they're presenting the cup. So to
Yeah.
see them at the MeiGray Expo, it shows how important the hobby is to everybody in our world. And we're
they're
proud
all
to be to host that.
Yeah, of course. And they're all regular guys. They're super approachable. And as much as you think they love the game, they do. And they're so willing to, you walk over to the table and first of all, you're fear. I don't want to sneeze. I don't want to blink. I don't want to, nothing. But they're just, hey, you can, sure, it's here. It's for you. It's, we brought this to share. And they're so affable and whatnot. I don't want to overuse that word, but approachable. You want to talk about this? Ask questions. We're here. We're here to share.
And I think the flip side of that, which makes me happy, and I watch the collectors, the Hall of Fame admires, like their eyes and mouths that drop when they look at a guy's collection. They have a Hockey Hall of Fame, and they'll see something they've never seen before in one of our collectors' collections, and it just, the pride goes back and forth. Like, wow, my collection's important because I got the Hall of Fame's tongues hanging. So that it's great every time I see that, and that happens every year because there's always new stuff in the room.
There's a lot of mutual tongue wagging going on, and that's one of the great joys of the Expo. Number 20 comes up very, very soon. Saturday, July 12th, Raritan Valley Community College Conference Center. Summer sale to follow. Grab bag draft is open for as long as it's open, but a lot of new features. We'll get to those in a second. Barry, you mentioned the first one was a 2-day affair. Take me back to sort of those planning meetings. Did you sit around and go, is this the best possible idea? And how are we going to fill 2 days? Like, I want, when you put something like this on, whether it's, I'm not going to equate it to Woodstock, but if it's a music festival, you're like, I want to make sure we got enough stuff to do. I want to make sure we got enough sweaters. You want to keep people interested and wanting to come back. 20 years later, obviously, or 20 expos later, it's a wonderful thing. But was there self-doubt in those first meetings?
Absolutely. In the early years, we didn't know if people would travel. We didn't know if people were, the hobby was still, the internet wasn't what it was. So it was people on a lot of phone calls, a lot of letters. So it was the early days of the Game Worn Forum. Mm-hmm. So there was some of this internet communication, but we didn't know if there would be a camaraderie that would work. We felt that we needed to be 2 days because we wanted people to come from all over the nation. And we did have people coming from Canada and Scandinavia, and we didn't want them to travel, come in for 6 hours and go home. So we wanted to make it a 2-day affair. After only a few years, we realized you didn't need the 2 days, mm-hmm. and nobody minded. There was so much to do from the 9 to 4. It was a complete day. People would come in the night before. There would be private dinners among collectors. There was stuff outside the quote expo itself. So we saw that there was a mutual desire for guys to get together. So we added the special guests. We thought we wanted to give people something. Some of the early guests, I remember we had Cass Marquez, the equipment manager of the Rangers, Neil Smith, the general manager of the Rangers, who was MeiGray's first client, talking about those early days. I remember when I think this was 4 or 5 years in, when CCM went from the AirNets to the 1.0s. Mm-hmm. We brought in the CCM people who came down from Canada to talk about the New Jerseys. That was like the most scientific.
You guys were breaking news at the time. It was, right, I remember the T-shirts. There was a whole.
Yes. So we decided to do things that would both educate the hobby, promote the hobby, and add to the camaraderie. So there was this juggling of what would work. And we found in the early years what did work, what didn't work. And, the thing that I've noticed the last couple of years is it's starting to snowball because the hobby's matured. Collectors are a lot more educated, but they still want to see these great collections. Mm-hmm. That's why we emphasized the collector tables, de-emphasized some of the more, we separated. We did this years ago, but the MeiGray warehouse sale is quite separate from the expo day because we want to first start with primary is the collections. Share your collection with other collectors around the world. And that is really where we are right now, where the collectors just love seeing all of the collections from around the the universe, whether it's a AHL collection or an ECL collection or, superstars galore.
Of course, talking to President and COO of MeiGray, Mr. Barry Meisel. It's Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 59. MeiGray Expo number 20 is straight ahead. Again, Saturday, 7/12, Raritan Valley Community College Conference Center. Email if you need details. There's a hotel code. There's a lot going on. And again, the Expo's on Saturday. And then right after that is the phenomenon only known as the summer sale. And if you haven't experienced it, it is highly, highly, highly recommended. Does it get easier or a little more difficult to put these on, year after year? And I don't want to lead the witness or answer for you, but I'd imagine it's like a recipe. We got the ingredients. We do like to tweak it. So it's somewhere between easier and harder.
Well, I would say, yeah, and I'm gonna break a little news today by telling you we finally, about a half hour before you and I hooked up to start today's podcast, we confirmed our special guest. I'll talk about him in a second.
Okay.
It's easier. The special guest has always been harder. One of the challenges we had, and we've thought about this over the years, the summertime is great for collectors and people who have time off and can travel. It's not great for hockey. The season's just ended. A lot of players, executives are in places other than Branchburg, New Jersey. And we've had some potential guests who say, I'd love to make it, but. So that's been the challenge each year, is getting guests who can get to New Jersey in the middle of July. What's easier is that, we have the working relationships. The collectors are now preparing. The one thing we do is at this year's date, have next year's date so people can start their schedules. The work that my staff does in preparing the room and the Hall of Fame and the collections gets easier. And that really the ease a lot is thanks to the hobby, because people are already thinking, okay, I want to come next year. Can I bring my collection, and what can I tell MeiGray I've got? So that's easier. After a lot of time, we wanted to emphasize one of the things we're going to emphasize this year. This was the year of Ovechkin.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about goal scoring, and it was about the authentication of goal scorers. So I was trying to find a top goal scorer from the era, and we've had some great ones. I mean, we've had Adam Oates. We've got Mike Bossy. We've had, last year we had John LeClaire. We've had goal scorers, but I wanted to find a goal scorer to talk about Ovechkin, the goal scorer. And Brian Propp, who's a terrific old Philadelphia Flyer, Minnesota North Star, just confirmed to me today. He'll be our special guest. So I told Propp, you better hone up on Ovi, because we're going to be talking a lot about Ovechkin this year. I'm looking forward to, for the first time in years, making a presentation myself, because what a challenge, what a unique situation working with the Washington Capitals. It wasn't 3 sets of white, 3 sets of red. Alexander Ovechkin was a lot of work this year in preparation for his march on Gretzky's 895, and obviously tying it at home and doing it on Long Island. So a lot of interesting anecdotes. I know a lot of people saw me on the bench changing him that was a thrill. And I'm going to tell some of the behind the scenes. It was a very interesting, lot of lifting to get a lot of things done, because there's a lot more to do than having him change jerseys when Gretzky is on the ice and the teams are on the ice, and the NHL stopped the game for 15 minutes to honor him. So I'm looking forward to letting our people, the collectors, see how important we were, the authentication of the jersey behind the scenes, and then how it became an official part of the whole spectacle.
So you got more stories to tell, obviously, at the upcoming Expo on Saturday, July the 12th at Raritan Valley Community College Conference Center. But suffice to say, Barry, and we could just put this in a thimble, it was a year of hard work for MeiGray, an NHL season of hard work, but a season of immense pride. You love what you do. You love this hobby. You have committed to this hobby, to making this hobby better. And this is a year where all that work was borne out in the chase, and collectors got to follow along and pick up pieces along the way.
Yeah, and that's part of the pride. If you go back from the early light bulb that went off of my head to now and put it all and tie it up in a bow, I always felt if collectors were going to collect game-worn jerseys, they deserved to know exactly what they were getting. And to be able to tell the hobby, as I will, what Alexander Ovechkin wore every game this year and how many times he switched and how many issues and eventualities there were leading up to, and I don't want to tip off what I'm going to talk about, but my heart beating when I'm sitting there with the jersey he's going to change into. Is he going to remember to come over? Is this going to happen? It just was, it was thrilling, and it was quite rewarding, as you surmise, Scott, to know that this is how far the hobby has come. We took the guy's 895th jersey off his back,
right,
and memorialized it, authenticated in real time in front of a national TV audience right after he scores one of the biggest goals in NHL history.
Pretty cool. To hold you over till Barry's story time on Saturday, July the 12th, a couple of podcasts that you and I did during the chase. One was with Joe Beninati as the guest, the Capitals television voice from Monumental, and another one just after the fact in which we were joined by DSP, Devontae Smith-Pelly. And you shared some of the experiences of the experience, but there is even more to come on Saturday, July the 12th. So be there for Expo number 20. You mentioned Mr. Prop is in, and the fact that, I mean, it's interesting, Barry. The NFL does this better than few, although the NBA and the NHL are quickly gaining. Baseball, not so much. We have the hot stove, we have the season, but it does go dormant for a little while. Like right after the World Series, baseball sort of gets put on the back burner, and rightfully so, because the winter and fall, or the fall and winter sports here on the American landscape are so darn dominant. That said, the NHL just wraps up the Stanley Cup Finals. Within a week, there's the NHL draft, and then free agency starts, and then developmental camps, and then it does go on the back burner, and guys go on vacation, sort of out of the office, what have you. Organizations pull down the gone fishing sign, and then they'll be back, but they're back in like September, so it's pretty short. The NFL has become almost nonstop with the the voluntary mini camps and the OTAs, the off season, training activities, whatever they call them. It's almost 24/7, 365. Then there's almost like a 3-week break, and then training camp starts, and we're right into the preseason. NBA finals wrap up less than a week later. There was put away on a whatever it was. Week later is the draft. You're like, wow. And free agency. The NHL is doing a better job of not going dormant or going into hibernation as they once did, as baseball still does.
Right. Well, it's the appetite for hockey fans to immerse themselves in everything NHL. I mean, to see the mock drafts and the draft parties and the interest and the knowledge.
Right.
Upon a time, the first pick in the draft would be, who are the Erie Otters? Right now, people know so much about Matthew Schaefer that it really creates a year-round appetite for everything. And I think that's just the love of the sport, the love of everything about the sport, the passion of fans for their team, and the engagement. It's not just, we'll go to a couple of games and enjoy watching on TV. Collectors, fans are more invested with their team than ever before. I don't see it stopping. I think it gets crazier and crazier, but it's fun.
Definitely.
I like the NHL draft. I couldn't wait to see who was going to the teams with which we have contracts. And immediately, if I didn't know who they were, it was, how much is his jersey going to be worth? And, which collectors are going to want this jersey? So there's so many facets of sports fandom that are growing and growing and growing. The NHL is doing a terrific job in presenting that to the collector and a fan in a way the fans want.
Expo number 20 straight ahead. We're talking to Barry Meisel, president and COO of MeiGray, MeiGray.com. It's Tales from the Warehouse, volume 59. So this year's Expo, we got the grab bag draft. It is I know it's one of your favorite events, and it's developed into a monster all of its own where you can talk about it. When you do it there live, it's a really cool part of the carnival, Barry.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a tip, break another piece of news, which is going to dampen some of your flame from earlier. It's sold out today.
Done.
For the first time, we will have no grab bags. We always like to keep a couple because there's someone I forgot oh man, I didn't know about this. It's become so popular. We've sold out. Oh, it's so much fun because it's the kind of thing we always like to have fun with the hobby.
Absolutely.
And for collectors to sit there, and act like game worn jersey GMs, and
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
it's just
You've
it's such a
scouted the
cool.
field, we've got them on the racks, come in, take a look, maybe there's a trade, maybe you're the number 2, but you don't like the top 2, and you're a goaltender person, but you know the goalie's gonna be around at 4. Maybe you're willing to entertain some trades for future I mean, so much goes into it, and I'm so glad that it sold out. It's become it was fun initially. The collectors and the MeiGray Brain Trust have gotten together to make it even more fun.
Yeah, and because they love it and because it does work, and even if you don't participate, it's a fun viewing event. I should sell tickets to the draft. It really is. When you see what people want, and you hear in the room, I can't believe he took that jersey. He left this jersey on the rack. So it's really really interesting. And then you always have the post draft trades. So it's fun. We're always trying to reinvent the wheel, but when something works, you stick with it. And the grab bag draft has just become something. I think we hit it. We got it.
It's a lot of fun. Also, at this year's event, again, stalwarts, the MeiGray display, and sometimes they're themed, sometimes they're personal, sometimes I'll let you divulge as much or as little, but you always have to be there to experience. You could tell me it's going to be the great. I mean, I've been there to see more than several of them, and they're always mouth agape, tongues wagging moments with what is presented by the MeiGray family.
Yeah, what I'll say this, and obviously I've talked about Ovechkin. We always try to do a lot from today and a lot from yesteryear. You cannot be a game one jersey collector and not respect the fact that these sweaters, and I know the sweaters are part of hockey lore. And so there'll be plenty of vintage jerseys from days gone by. The Hall of Fame is bringing both. The theme is the goal scorers, and with Ovechkin, I'm sure there'll be some unbelievable jaw-dropping sweaters from the 40s and 50s of the great goal scorers of the day.
Sure.
There'll be a lot of interesting things from today. There'll be things that I don't even know exist in their back closets that they'll pull out. For all I know, they have something when Ovechkin was 8 years old that someone donated. So there'll be a lot of yesterday and a lot of today.
Looking very, very forward to it. Again, Hockey Hall of Fame, MeiGray display. You mentioned Brian Propp, former Flyer, former North Star star. All I remember is growing up in Philly, whenever Propp scored that goal, the glove came off and he did the sign with the
guffaw. The guffaw.
Loved
Again, I often talk about my days at the Daily News, and I reminded him of this today because when I was covering the Islanders and Flyers had that great rivalry. And I remember the Islander fans or road fans hated the guffaw because, I'm sticking it in your face after I score. And I said, we're going to have to talk about the guffaw. And he started laughing and said, sure will. He also, which I did not know, he just wrote a book. And he's promoting his book on his life and his career. And he had a stroke that he's recovered from. And he's a heartwarming story. And I'm happy to say that we'll be promoting and having his book on sale, which of course he'll be autographing. So a lot of great things will happen with Brian Propp. And if we can, I'm trying to find a photo match jersey with him giving the guffaw. That will be the best of both worlds. We haven't found it yet, but I still have 12 days more before. That'll be on display if we found it.
Done and done. Also, new this year, and we saw this through social media, through the MeiGray channels, the bargain packs. Saw Drew hard at work, not tipping his hand as to exactly what you'll find during the summer sale in the warehouse, but the bargain packs are coming, and they are creating a buzz, which is exactly what MeiGray wants to have happen, Barry.
We like to give back. There are many jerseys that have been here at prices where collectors will say, that jersey is not worth that much. So there are going to be some really good values, 20 to 80% off on a handful of relics that have been here a while, something new. And we do expect when those doors open, people flocking to that bargain rack, and we're going to make sure we don't have any accidents or any problems. But yeah, we're going to have some really, really special big discounts on some pretty cool jerseys. Again, always trying to find something new to enhance the collector experience and make it fun for all of us.
And you mentioned, obviously, the first several. Yes, there was the old GameOn.net forum for you to sort of follow along, because people would go to the MeiGray Expo and then post, hey, I'm here. This was unbelievable. You guys need to see this. You guys need to come. That helps create a buzz. For those of you who are unable to attend, and again, there's family vacations. It's summertime. Things pop up. You got obligations. Everybody totally gets it. This guy included this time around. But you can still experience the MeiGray Expo through social media. There's videos. There's people are doing live streams. They're walking around. They're posting. They're aisle by aisle. And again, choose your news. Lots of collectors are really good at this. Walking the aisles, just taking some film. Or again, Casey, God bless him, and the MeiGray social team. Great job in representing what's going on as it happens, and it makes me jealous, envious, and it's more enticing, Barry, because I wish I was there always.
And we encourage that because, again, as we've said throughout, that's what it's all about. The collectors enjoying their hobby. And that's, you asked us earlier in our chat. The vision was to expand this hobby, share it, let people enjoy it more than just getting a box at home. And social media has enabled us to do this. Just hosting this year after year and making it a fun experience has enabled us to do this. And I will say, because it's one thing I always worry about, it's supposed to be a delightful weekend, not too hot, but it's supposed to be really nice for people to enjoy. And you're coming out to New Jersey, you're not far from the Jersey Shore. Some people from out of town make it a weekend. They're with us Saturday and they hit the beach Sunday morning, and it's a really fun weekend.
You mentioned some of the guests in the early going and of modern vintage, whether it's an Oates or whether it's Cass or whether it's Chico Resch or whether it's John LeClair. You have some favorites through the years?
Well, you just mentioned a bunch of them. Another one of my favorites, because I knew you were going to ask me this, I was a big Ranger fan in the 70s. And, the Broad Street Bullies breaking our noses and breaking our hearts. And so the year we had Dave Schultz was a lot of fun because I started with, I owe you one for the Del Ralph fight. And we got off. So he looked at me at first like, is this going to be a problem? But then he saw, of course, it was all in fun. And we learned what a great guy Schultz was when he was the Hammer back then. So he was a favorite of mine only because you learn, as we've heard over and over and over about the tough guys in the NHL, they're often the greatest guys. So it was so great to see an engaging Schultz and the banter between him and I, a 70s Ranger fan, and he, one of the goons of the Bullies. Another guest I really enjoyed, and we had him before he won his Stanley Cup, Craig Berube, who became he was an NHL head coach. And
multi-time head coach, short course, successful, yes.
And he was so good at engaging with the fans. And, you think of an NHL coach coming to talk to a bunch of Game On jersey collectors, but he was engaging, he was open, he was critical of players in the league. That was another favorite of mine. And to see the success, winning the Cup in 2019 with St. Louis, even though we beat a MeiGray team in the Boston Bruins, and then what he's trying to accomplish in Toronto, he was another one of our favorites. My favorites.
Looking for something from the Jackets, the Wild, the Devils, the Preds, the Caps, the Flyers, or NBA, all over the place. The Hornets, the Warriors, the Clippers, the Lakers, consignments, whatnot. Head over to MeiGray.com. Head over to MeiGrayAuctions.com right now. Very special item. The WNBA is on fire. Paige Beckers, rookie sensation, Dallas Wings. There is a Lego mosaic up for auction. Charitable venture, MeiGrayAuctions.com. Do stop by. Do check it out. Do bid. Barry, we mentioned a lot of the guests through the years. I was with you a couple of years ago, and we did a live Tales from the Warehouse. And I know you have multiple favorite moments, but one of the moments, I'm going to answer this for you. It had to be the Broom Dusters guys or the Broom Dusters collection. You back then were like, did you see that? Did I just see what I thought I saw? It's just one of those moments. You never know what's going to walk in. You never know what's going to get set up. And then when it happens, you're like, I didn't have that on my bingo card as a collector or longtime fan or fan of an obscurity, or you just never know what's going to pop up. Talk to me about that specific moment and other favorite moments through the years at the
Well,
end.
that was a very personal one for me because you talk about tying things up in a bow. I became a game. I never heard of Game On jerseys. I came out of college. I wanted to be a sports writer, and I had this idea for my home office to get an actual jersey out of the locker room for every team I covered. That's the two my two careers, sports writer and Game On jersey enthusiast, put together. So the Broom Dusters was the first professional team I covered.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my first because I covered a junior league team as an intern in college, but it was my second jersey. First was the Binghamton Barons and then the Binghamton Broom Dusters. And to see now the Broom Dusters jerseys, which was so obscure and so valuable because that team didn't last long. And you had the esoteric name and the Johnny Hart BC character, the great logo.
Sure.
It was overwhelming to see how Game On jerseys and my career and starting in Little Binghamton, New York, it had all come together. So that was a very emotional moment. Another very emotional moment for me was when I talked Mike Bossy into being a guest. Boss, as many people know, and if you don't, as a New York Islander reporter for the New York Daily News, I wrote his autobiography. He asked me to do that in 1988 when he suffered his back injury, did not know if he was going to have to retire, but knew he was going to have to take the season off to recuperate and see if he can rehab back to play NHL caliber playing. And I found a publisher that wanted to tell the story. I mean, the timing was great. He either was going to be retired and his book would be out when he had to announce his retirement, or it'd be part one of a great story with a great comeback. Sadly, he was not able to retire. He finished with 573 goals. Very important to me because, as I said to Ovechkin, again, tipping a little bit, I had a one-on-one with Ovechkin after 895, and I sat Alex down, gave him a copy of my Bossy book, and I'll tell you a little bit about what Mike Bossy said before, sadly, he passed, about Ovechkin and what I told Ovechkin about Bossy and what happened in that interaction. But Bossy was not well. He was not, I can't remember if he'd been diagnosed or was the early stages, but I knew Boss's health wasn't well. So it was a very emotional time for me I had talked to him many times, but I hadn't seen him in many years. And then he was a great guest because, without a doubt, I still say, and I'm a Ranger fan, best goal scorer in NHL history. The numbers he's higher than Ovechkin, which I told Alex, in goals per game.
Sure.
573 in Bossy's game, better than 895 in Ovi's games and Gretzky's game. But to have the greatest goal scorer talent in NHL history at one of our expos talking about the hobby and hockey and goal scoring was a memorable moment. So Boss is certainly Boss is probably number one because of the personal connection.
So many moments to be made. So many moments have been made. It's Expo number 20. Comes up Saturday, July the 12th. The grab bag is sold out. But come for the exhibits. Come for the community. And as we start to wrap up today's pod, Barry, the collector community, I mean, you said it at the top. This is why we started talking about doing this, because we wanted to bring it to the people and let the people take part. The community aspect of it. You mentioned, it used to be a 2-day event. Now it's 9 to 4 roughly on a Saturday. People come from all over the world and all over the country, and they come in on Friday. They see guys and the MeiGray family. Hey, what's up? Hey, I've never even met you, but I've talked to you on the phone or I've talked to you through email. Oh my gosh, what's it like to be here? And maybe they stop in, and then it's dinner with friends from the collecting community. Everybody wakes up early. There's breakfast, there's meals throughout. There's more meals after. There's out of towners brunch. It's like a darn wedding or a bar mitzvah or something. They're like, I got an out of towners brunch. Well, yeah, because people are flying or driving or what have you. They want to make sure it's the community aspect with the centerpiece is the MeiGray Expo, but the collectors are really the key, and the sweaters, of course.
Yeah, and I would say that's what I was just going to say.
Yes,
The jerseys are the centerpiece.
they're the
Because
draw.
one of the things that's so fun to watch as you're walking the room is hardcore collectors, including, we have and we always honor them every year. We have 3 collectors, and knock on wood, they'll be here again on the 12th, who've been to every expo. So those guys have seen everything, but every year they're even have their mouth open as a new collector with a new set of jerseys that, wow, I've never seen that one before. And the fact that even somebody who's been in this hobby, as long as I have, a dinosaur in the hobby, can see something new and something they've never known about, and hear a collector who may be in the hobby only a year and a half pridefully explaining how he acquired it, what he knows about his favorite team. It's a never-ending source of pride that collectors educate collectors by just sharing what they bring, what they have, what they know, what they found. And that's the gasoline, that the engine that betting out. That's what fuels the hop. That's what fuels the event.
Right. That's our commonality. We're not there because we eat the same stuff. There's all sorts of people, all sorts of colors of skin, all sorts of body types. It's like we're there because we love the hobby, and then it grows from there. And you may, I always say, go to an expo and you'll meet a friend you've never met yet, because at the core, you love the game-worn fabric. They love the game-worn fabric. Let nature take its course. And there's this is one that, again, brings the MeiGray family, brings all the collections and the vault items and items from the Hall of Fame who have been there consistently from pretty much the get-go. The other thing that I've noticed too, when I've attended the MeiGray Expo, the crowds are always varying. It is veteran collectors, obviously, and the folks you mentioned who have been there, but there's kids, there's teens, there's family, there's significant others, there's girlfriends, there's nieces, there's nephews, there's wives. It's not just guys hanging out. There are certainly a percentage, but
Right.
the collecting world is for everybody, and MeiGray does a really good job of representing that.
I appreciate you saying that, because I think every time somebody comes to an expo, they teach somebody something and they learn something, whether you're a newbie or a veteran. And over the years, people have started to see and talk about that. Like I didn't know if I'd be, feel out of place because I only have 6 jerseys in my collection.
Yes.
And I've only been collecting 7 months. But that guy or that woman comes and realizes, wow, people wanted to see what I have.
Right.
And I taught them something and I learned something. So that's the snowball that keeps growing and growing for all of us to enjoy.
And that's a very key bit of advice. And it's advice that, honestly, I've shared with new collectors who've said, I don't know if I want to go to MeiGray this year because I don't feel. I said, stop. Go. Just go. I'm telling you. You're going to go because you're going to be in awe of, but go because people want to talk to you. You go up to somebody's table and it's just, hey, how you doing? Nice stuff there. That's it. The door's open. And the people on the other side of the table, 100% of them, hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. What do you collect? What do you collect? You see what I collect. I'm an open book. I'm an open table. But there's so many things to share. Do you have advice for new folk that maybe number 20 is number 1 for them?
Just to bring what you enjoy, show it off, because somebody there is going to say, oh, I've never seen that. Tell me about it. So just as I said, you will educate somebody as well as be educated. And the other thing is, of course, keep an open mind that this is a world of collectors, a world of hockey. So you will have fun no matter what your level of collecting. You don't have to be, you don't have to have a PhD in Game 1 jerseys. You just have to have an affinity for hockey and the hobby.
Everybody there is willing to teach and learn and converse. It's Expo number 20, comes up Saturday, July the 12th, Raritan Valley Community College Conference Center. Summer sale to follow. The grab bag draft is sold out. Congratulations. But this year, the bargain packs. Brian Propp will be there. Guest confirmed. Hockey Hall of Fame. The MeiGray display, of course. As I mentioned, summer sale to follow with partner teams including Columbus, Minnesota, Jersey, Nashville, Philadelphia, and Washington. NBA on the mind? Oh, there's a lot of it in the warehouse. Partnerships with the Hornets, the Dubs, the Clips, and the Lakers, consignments, connections all over the professional and collecting world. And again, quick reminder, MeiGrayAuctions.com ongoing. Paige Becker's rookie sensation of the Dallas Wings, a Lego mosaic, one of a kind and signed, charitable auction ongoing. MeiGrayAuctions.com. Barry, this has been a blast. Enjoy the Expo, my friend. I'll be looking from afar, but all over social media to see what's up. I know it's going to be a blast. They always are. Thanks for having us in your office today.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
You got it. Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 59. For Barry, I'm Scott. MeiGray Expo 20 upcoming. Until next time, the warehouse is closed.